I hear you, and like you said, you zoom in and zoom out, which that's your technique and how you have conversations. I think you like to pick and choose the most diabolical examples to further prove your point, because both examples you used are not happening on a regular occurrence in mass. Do we have shooting drills occurring? Absolutely. Are people unaliving themselves? Absolutely. But most people do not experience the things that you listed as problematic.
I think it's interesting when we talk about is therapy working, is it not working? Because quite literally a part of the sciences is seeing things over a span of time. And the idea of even therapy, especially in the Black community, is very new. So we have actually not been able to give it enough time to see if it works or not. All of these terms that we're getting irritated by, these are maybe terms that a lot of people have been using that we just have not been using because we've said, don't go to therapy, go to church, right? So when we even think about how new it is, we'd have to be a little bit patient and give it a little bit more time. But the idea that we're overusing, incorrectly using terminology is at least an indicator that we're being exposed to information. So I actually don't take it as being a negative. It's more so just when you hear somebody incorrectly using a thing, correct it. But at least they know the word. At least like we're starting to circulate it in our language that we do believe some things are predisposed. We do believe some things are learned. We do believe that you can recover from certain things and others are chronic. We do believe some things require medication and other things don't. So at least we now know it's, I don't know. I'm wondering why, with it being so new, are we so critical instead of curious?
Do we actually know though, based on, and I'm going off of what your perspective is based on what I heard you say moments ago. You seem to have a hard stance on qualifying. And so I do understand that you need to give something an adequate amount of time to be a proven concept. But I also believe that this is me, that sometimes people jump on fads of sorts.
Right.
And therapy seems very faddish. It seems very much of, okay, because if you look at human society predating therapy, most societies have functioned quite normally without this said therapy being a thing that you needed in order to progress through one's life. I mean,
normal.
Yeah, to some basis of normality, of course. And therapy was not needed because we used to have communities, we used to have tribes.
We're unaliving each other and going to war and like taking people out and like shooting up schools and like kids are. What are we talking about functioning normally?
All the way left. You went all the way left on that one.
No, we're not functioning normally. Like, think about what is happening. We are now doing shooting drills in schools instead of earthquakes and tornadoes. Like, we're not functioning normally. We're not doing well.
Pretty, I thought you isolated this to the Black community a couple minutes ago.
One second. I isolated it in one example, sir. I'm speaking generally that the idea of therapy is still fairly new.
Okay, I thought you specifically were saying in the Black community is fairly new. My apologies.
Yeah, so I zoom in and zoom out when I talk. So you got to keep up. You're an extremely handsome intellectual. You should be able to do it very well. Right? Okay, thank you. Anyways, so yeah, true.
I hear you, and like you said, you zoom in and zoom out, which that's your technique and how you have conversations. I think you like to pick and choose the most diabolical examples to further prove your point, because both examples you used are not happening on a regular occurrence in mass. Do we have shooting drills occurring? Absolutely. Are people unaliving themselves? Absolutely. But most people do not experience the things that you listed as problematic. If you look at the duration of humanity, most people, predating therapy, mind you, were living fairly normal lives, meaning they were insulated in society. They knew what to do. They knew how to treat people. Opioids and things of that nature were not heavily used. Folks were not jumping off of bridges in mass, and that was not occurring on a high.
Psychology and psychiatry are two different things.
Well, that wasn't my argument.
No, you just said medication. That's psychiatry.
I did not say medication. I said
opioids, sir.
Yeah, but not as a medication.
Medication,
recreational use.
Oh, brother. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm speaking again, if we're talking about the macro, most people aren't living in the most diabolical conditions, and we know that to be true. I mean, these are some of the most cushy times globally. And I land.
To kind of get at your question for real, I would compare it to the gym, right? There's some people who you'll find in there that'll just be like on their phones doing more of social media than anything, and then there's some people really putting in sets, and there's some people do going hard. I think that therapy will basically give you what you put into it, right? You do have to have a good therapist for one, that helps a lot. But secondly, you have to want to put in the work. If you're willing to put in the work, then you're going to get your results. I've seen it work for some. I've seen it not work for others. Um, True, hit it on the head when they say it's hard to quantify that. But what I found as an overwhelming consensus was the people who were really working on it diligently, taking it seriously, they got better. The people who didn't, results may vary.
I think on this particular question, which is, let me see what that question was. Do you think therapy is helping people grow? I think people do the same thing with this therapy language as they do with a lot of other things, and they pick and choose what they want to pull from it, and they don't actually have a holistic understanding. That's just my perception of it. I could be wrong. But they pick and choose what they think sounds good, and what they think is beneficial, what stimulates them, and then they apply it. So I think it, I'm not going to say that it hurts, but I don't think that it's as helpful as you would think of, like, oh, at least we're talking about therapy. um I guess I just don't think it's as helpful as you would think.
There, as a point of clarification, it was mentioned that we're unaliving each other, having more school shooting drills than earthquake drills. We have more school shootings in these places than we have earthquakes and tornadoes. So they are training kids for what's more likely to happen. It's unfortunate that that's the case, that you're more likely to have a school shooting than you are to have an earthquake in California, or more likely to have a tornado in Texas. But the thing is that the part we miss is that saying we're unaliving each other. The most dangerous place for a black man to be, or a black person to be, is in a black woman's womb. More black men and children, boys and girls, are aborted than adult men and women are murdered. So it's almost as if that when we cite these numbers or we say these things, we don't consider the data that's readily available behind them. If 1/3 of Gen Z has been aborted, it was aborted already. Like, again, easily verifiable statistics. We can't have the conversation saying that, okay, well, it's not about opioids, or it's not about where we want to be, or how, who's healing and doing all this trigger shit. That's what's normal for us. The norm for black people is what happens the most often. The norm is the average. And unfortunately, the average is what True was saying. Those are the averages.
As for therapy, I do it every Tuesday and sometimes Thursday. And I just like to sit on the branch and watch people that actually don't do it and have high critiques of it. I think they should try it and be open and honest, because us as black people, because you're focusing on our community, we grow from trauma. The majority of an urban society have to work through trauma, and we normalize bad behaviors and tendencies that don't befit us most of the time. How do we get out of it? Do we just guess, keep falling forward on our face, or at least try methods and see if people are up to the game as for teaching us skill sets and showing us ways and answering certain questions that we don't have answers to, so that we can try at least to become a better person. So when I hear people talk negatively about it and are on the fence, the majority of people I ask, they don't do therapy. They don't believe in it. But when you peep in that window, they have those inherent traits of the dysfunctional. So where do they go from there? Do I listen to that person, or do I try? And I'm not saying all therapists are good. You just have to find the one who cleaves to you that has that understanding that you can see is able to help you work through things. And I land there.
Kenny, what would you say is the purpose of therapy in your own words?
To help me figure out things that I've normalized, and I feel that I'm not going anywhere because I come to a self-realization that I'm doing a thing over and over again, and I might need methods and help as for straightening out my life, stop being so obnoxious, stop being so imposing, things that we would lie to ourselves because we're always in defense mode when most of the time we're in defense mode when someone tells us or critiques us. Not me. Can't be me. It's you. Because we don't tend to look in the mirror most of the times, and you just need a voice in the room that's arbitrary, that did their 10,000 hours, that say, okay, let's walk through this. Let's get this coloring book. Let me give you some crayons. And let's figure it out. Because my goal and my intent with this therapy that I am involving myself in with you is to help you become a better person.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think therapy is mainly to help people process and work through their own thoughts and their things about themselves, to help them see things. I think that a therapist is supposed to act like a mirror to some degree. While you're talking, you should be talking a lot more than the therapist is talking. And yeah, I think it's to help people who have difficulty processing, to process. And I think I would argue most people do have that difficulty. So
Mont, real quick, do you do therapy? Have you done it?
I've done couples therapy. I've never done my own personal therapist, but I've been in couples therapy.
As I've done a abnormal amount of therapy for one reason or another, and one of the things that I take away from it is that your therapist has to align with you. A lot of therapists that Black men go to tend to not like men, or they tend to be kind of slanted towards men, so they